Welcome to Straight Outta Health IT. Getting into health tech is rough, but here's an unfiltered dialogue of healthcare leaders and influencers covering a wide variety of issues affecting healthcare and the health tech industry. And now your host, Christopher Cunny.
Hello, everyone. This is Christopher Cunny, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Outta Health IT. We have an incredibly special and deep and personal story we're going to share today. This is this ongoing series I have around the profiles and courage individuals who are fighting and beating this deadly disease called cancer. And who better to have on this episode today than an individual, Amanda Rose Ferraro, who coined the phrase, "Cancer is an asshole." And we'll go into that in a little more detail here shortly. But let me tell you a little bit about Amanda. She's a 2-time AML Leukemia survivor. She's also a stem cell transplant recipient, a 7 times, hear me now, 7 times brain surgery survivor. She's also, and on top of that, she's a mother, she's a life coach, a motivational speaker, a blogger, an entrepreneur, and a freelance writer. She has absolutely emerged on this scene as an individual who has been a beacon of hope and inspiration for individuals who are facing the challenges associated with cancer. And by sharing her story through a multitude of different social media platforms like TED Talks and articles that she's published and, abstracts in medical journals, she's been a very passionate advocate. And she dedicates her life to supporting cancer patients throughout that journey. And so I'm so excited and privileged to have Amanda on the program today to talk about this disease. And she absolutely embodies the power of personal perseverance, advocacy in the face of adversity. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Amanda. Thank you so much for joining Straight Outta Health IT.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure and my honor, and I can't wait to just jump right into the conversation. So people have heard enough from me. I want them to hear from you. And one of the things I always do when I start my program is I read a little bit of your bio, but that's not your story. That's not your journey. And who better to tell your story and journey than you? And so if you would just take a few minutes and share with our listeners your journey, when you first received the diagnosis, what was going through it in your mind, just everything that has culminated to what you're doing today in starting this foundation called Cancer is an Asshole.
Yeah. So prior to being diagnosed with cancer, I was actually born with double pneumonia, and my first few weeks of life were spent in the NICU. I've had 7 brain surgeries for an inoperable cyst on my cerebellum, which now I live with a ventricular arterial shunt that goes from my brain into my heart.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And then I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia May of 2017. I was actually misdiagnosed in March of 2017. So by the time I ended up going to the emergency room and finding a doctor who would listen to me and actually read my blood work, they saw that I had AML leukemia and that it was pretty severe and very late stages. So I went from the hospital I was diagnosed at. I went to another hospital to get another opinion. As you can imagine, being misdiagnosed, I didn't trust that first hospital.
Of course.
I went to another hospital where the doctor said that it was such a late phase, they didn't feel comfortable treating me. So they recommended me to a specialist in leukemia. And then I was treated at Robert Wood Johnson here in New Jersey. I spent about 35 days in the hospital for my initial induction chemotherapy.
All right.
And that was really difficult because I went from being a full-time mom to my 3.5-year-old son to then needing full-time care. And our lives completely changed overnight.
Imagine. Absolutely.
So I ended up finishing induction chemo. And then I had 4 rounds of consolidation therapy, which was just a week in the hospital each time. And on February 14th of 2018, I got to ring the bell and I was cancer-free. Went home and tried to repair my life back and run. Unfortunately, I ended up having a really horrific toothache, went back to the hospital. In the blood work, they found 1 blast cell. So they ended up calling the oncologist. He did blood work as well as a bone marrow biopsy and found that I was relapsing. And because of a genetic mutation, which we found to be the TP53 genetic mutation in my DNA, not just the leukemia cell. They gave me a 10% chance to live because they weren't sure what was going to happen. So I started my second induction chemo with stronger medications. And then my doctor said, the only way we can try to save your life is by you having a stem cell transplant. So I finished the induction chemo, the second one, and went home. And then 3 weeks later, I went right back into the hospital the day before Thanksgiving to start my conditioning chemo. And on November 28th, 2018, I received my stem cell transplant. Today, I am 5.5 years cancer-free. Thank goodness. Yes. And I'm living with a donor's immune system. And I know my stem cell donor, and he's absolutely amazing. Lives in Germany. And we talk and send packages. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for him. Oh my God, that's a little bit about my story.
That's an amazing story. Talk about a physical and emotional roller coaster that you've been on for a number of years to go through since birth, literally, the challenges that you have had. And then for those to continue to be exasperated with other issues you've discovered as a part of challenges with mutations in your DNA. So talk to a little bit about the emotional roller coaster that you obviously have gone through and how you've been able to hold it all together, quite honestly. As I can't even imagine. I know when I went through my own surgery, and I'm not even talking about that. I've shared it on a couple of times on different programs, but it pales into comparison to what you've had to deal with throughout your life's journey in this battle with cancer. So talk to us a little bit about that emotional roller coaster ride and how you were able to again, manage through it.
Yeah. So like I had said before, I was a full-time mom and my life changed. I put my son to bed one night because I thought something was going on and let me just go to the hospital and get checked out. And I was told I had cancer and I had to stay in the hospital and I didn't go home for 35 days.
Oh my God.
So with 3 words, you have cancer, my life completely changed.
Absolutely.
And that was really hard because my son was little and he didn't understand. And as a mom, I felt like I was abandoning him.
Oh, sure. Not to mention in the hospital.
There's nothing I can do about it. And it was so difficult for me. My fiance's mother came up and stayed with us and with my son and was mom for the time I couldn't be. And my mom took my son on the weekends and family and friends really rallied around us. And that's really how we had gotten through it. But it was so difficult.
Absolutely.
And I found strength through my son, honestly. I wanted to fight for him so I could be with him. Exactly. And I truly had a goal of just putting my head down and doing what I had to do so that I could see the end of the rainbow. So I could get to that pot of gold and be
North Star.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I found strength in that. And of course, my family is amazing. And my mom has to be one of the strongest people that I know with everything that me and my sister have gone through in our life and things that she has gotten through. My sister had brain cancer when she was younger. And
it runs in the family.
Yeah. So it has truly been a roller coaster of emotions and deaths. And we've been through quite a bit. And when I was diagnosed, my mom definitely was a rock for me. And so when I was first diagnosed, I started a Facebook page because we have a very large extended family. My dad is one of 7. My mom has all of her cousins, elder brothers and sisters. So I started a Facebook page with the intent of just sharing updates with family and friends instead of texting or calling everybody. And so my first post was like, I was just diagnosed with cancer. Let's see how this is going to go. And I shared the hospital ride there. I videoed that. And my sister was with me. And so I just started to post things and having everyone write wonderful comments and just letting me know they were there. It really helped me get what I was feeling off of my chest, but also have the support of my family and friends who could write anytime that they wanted to on my Facebook page or message me. And that was really the main form of communication, but that was very helpful for me. It got me through what I needed to get through.
No, that's great. First of all, big shout out to your mom and your sister and all your family and friends who are there to support you in this journey. And I don't want to marginalize the importance of having that support system around you when you're going through an illness. Again, I know when I was going through some of the challenges I dealt with, having my family there and supportive and checking on me and their thoughts and prayers, encouragement meant so much. And I could imagine tenfold for someone like yourself who was going through something much more serious than I dealt with, the fact that you had a community of people who rallied around you, not only just for encouragement and support, but took your child under their wing and continued to nurturing and support him, your fiance, and everyone else that was a part of that journey with you as well, too. So again, big shout out to mom and family and friends for being there for you and for those who are doing that for loved ones that are faced with similar challenges as well. Let's talk a little bit about cancer as an asshole.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. How did that idea spawn as you started part of this journey?
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. One of my favorite curse words is asshole. And it really was. It's just like cancer was this thing for me. I didn't want to talk about it. It was annoying and it bothered me. And I would joke around with my family and I'd be like, oh, cancer is an asshole. And it turned into like family saying it and it like caught on. Right. So I had mentioned before about my Facebook page. And when I was in the hospital, I would do Facebook Live videos. And my mom shaved my head on Facebook Live for everybody to watch them. My family was there with me during that time. Right. I would walk around the hospital room or down the halls with my pole, and I would be videotaping the whole time I was doing it.
Exactly.
And then I gotten to the point where people started sharing my journey and what I was going through or sharing it with other cancer patients. So I would say, like, cancer is an asshole, and it caught on. And then I started to realize the things that I was getting, not other people were getting. Some people didn't have that support or know where to turn to or who to talk to. So I decided to create a website where I could give cancer patients resources that they can go to and get help from that otherwise you don't have. When you're diagnosed with cancer, there's no handbook. There is no one saying, here's resources. Here's where you go if disability doesn't give you what you need, or here's where to go to get wigs or bras for breast cancer patients or canes and walkers. And a lot of times you're left, and that's really hard. So that's what I wanted, to create a website for cancer patients and their families as a place to go for resources. And of course, I named it Cancer is an Asshole because it is.
Love it. I love it. Absolutely. And to your point, I think you had a support system around you that helped you navigate a lot of this, but many people don't. And so you became almost a surrogate to those folks who didn't have that support system or didn't know the right questions to ask or where to go to get the support they needed or the resources they needed as they manage this disease. And so I could absolutely commend you for doing that. I'm sure that was to some degree very therapeutic for you, too, creating these videos and reaching out to folks, and they're communicating with you. And now you became a beacon of light for them, which I would think would support you as well.
Yeah, I started writing on the Facebook page, and then I started writing like blogs on the Cancer is an Asshole site. And I just said what I wanted to say, but I was very raw and honest, and I told it like it was. And that was very helpful to a lot of people because I wouldn't sugarcoat things. If it wasn't good, it wasn't good, and I wasn't going to lie about it.
Exactly.
And that's really what kind of connected people to the blogs and the things that I was writing. During my hospital time, especially when I had relapsed, That
was difficult to have relapsed as well.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but I used my blog as therapy for myself.
Sure.
Yes, going to therapy is great and talking to other people, but for me, I felt if I held it in too much, it would hurt me more than if I just got it off of my chest.
Absolutely.
So I would say it and I would do videos or blogs and I would let people know what I was going through. And in sharing that, I connected with so many people who were like, I didn't know what to say, or I didn't know how to tell my family, or I didn't know how to explain it to people. So they would share my videos to their loved ones. And it started a conversation, or it was able to help them understand what their loved one was going through. And so that the light bulb went off and it just sparked. And I was like, okay, this is why I'm here. This is what I am meant to do. I'm here for a reason. And so I just started running with that idea of let's help people. I didn't know it was called advocacy at that time,
Right.
but I felt this overwhelming blanket of love when I started advocating.
Sure.
And I just haven't stopped.
No, that's great. And it has absolutely taken off. It's not just an advocacy, it's become a movement. You've got folks literally all over the country, all over the world who are following you and seeing you as this person who is motivating them and being a symbol for actually being able to defeat this disease. And what a great place to be and to represent individuals who are in their worst part of their life, in the worst time in their life, to have someone like yourself to motivate, encourage, get insights and information. And to your point, be very unfiltered about the journey as well, because it's not an easy journey. And I think that people appreciate that because they understand that although I might have a bad day today, bad days don't last as well, right? And so it's just about managing through them until you can get to the other side.
Yeah. And I really loved when I was in the hospital of listening to like motivational speeches.
Sure.
Or reading motivational quotes, or I would do like a quote a day. And I love affirmations. And it truly, really helped me get in the mindset of being positive.
Exactly. No, that's great.
And yeah, and I needed it, I think, but it also helped me get through what I was going through. And so when I first decided to be an advocate and I did a life coaching course, it was so amazing to realize how mindset truly can be the determination of life and death.
Right.
And that really motivated me to try and be as positive as I possibly could be, because I knew the stakes. And there was a time during stem cell transplant, which is extremely difficult, that I was very under the weather and not motivated. And the doctor came into the room and told my dad, like, if she doesn't think she could do this and she's not being positive, she's not going to make it.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my dad coming into the room and was like, get up now. And I was like, what? And he was like, you cannot let this get you. You're either going to fight it or you're going to let it take over, but you need to make that decision now.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, 100%. I'm reading these things. I need to be it. I need to breathe it. And I need to inhale the good and exhale the negative, no matter what I'm going through.
Absolutely.
And even today, I have a lot of complications from cancer, stem cell transplant. And I do have bad days, but I'm alive today. So
that's half the battle right there.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you can wake up and get up,
yes,
then the day can be what you make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've learned that I've been through a lot in my life. It's taken me a while to get to this point, but being positive, having a good mindset can change a lot for you. And that's really what I start with.
Absolutely. So you talked a lot about having that mindset type of positive perspective that help you get through those difficult times and motivate you. But it's much more of a holistic approach too. I'm sure you were thinking about the diet and food and other things that were going on. What are some of the other things like food, for example, food being medicine, you incorporated in this journey that you really helped you overcome this illness?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I looked into a lot of different things when I was diagnosed with cancer, different diets to do. The blood type diet was one that I stuck to for the most part. When you're going through cancer, you're not really supposed to eat like raw vegetables, raw fruits. So that was difficult for me because I love fruits, but I did like frozen smoothies. I used medical marijuana because I was given it from my doctor,
Sure.
and I used it topically, which helped with a lot of the pain.
Right.
I tried to do like flaxseed and chia seeds, and I really tried to do what was best for my body to not only try to eat because cancer is so difficult and you do lose a lot of weight, but use food as medicine to try and get my vitamins in and try and keep my body as healthy as possible, even though, yes, I am getting this poison, but to fuel my body with food things was helping fight the disease. So, yeah, diet was a huge thing for me when I was going through everything that I've been through.
Sure. So, what's one of the biggest misperceptions that someone that's been diagnosed with cancer, from your perspective,
Right.
you can clarify or debunk?
Yeah. So I say this all the time, and I've probably written it a million times.
Right.
A lot of people think cancer is like a taboo word. They're afraid to say it and they think it means death automatically. And it doesn't. Cancer is a disease. There's been so many obstacles that have been broken, so many barriers that are now torn down because of the research and medication that scientists are able to have, especially for young cancer patients, because there's only been about 4 childhood cancer treatments for years and years. And now there's many more. And survival rates for a lot of cancers are close to 80-90% now.
Exactly.
So when I think of the word cancer, I think of obstacles. We need to break down this taboo word that we're not talking about it.
Right.
We need to talk it up and let people know there's a community out there who is here to help you with what you're going through. There's resources. There's people to talk to. There's people who are going through it, people willing to help. And cancer doesn't need to be this scary word or this scary thing that you need to be afraid of.
Exactly. It's not a death sentence anymore. Yeah. And so I think, to your point, those of us like myself who are a little bit older and you heard the word cancer, it was like, oh my God, it's the world's coming to an end. But to your point, there's so much more research that's been done, so many more treatments, so many more options. The medical profession is much more smarter about how to approach this illness and combat it and give someone a quality of life that can be very good and extended, for sure. So let's go back to Cancers and Asshole and the organization itself. Talk to us a little bit more about what you obviously are providing great positive feedback and insights and, talking about your journey. Are there other things that it's about? Is it a foundation now or is this?
So not yet.
Okay.
So right now I'm working. So right now it's just the website currently, but I also, because I have my life coaching certificate, I'm working towards my board certification. So I do have patients under me that I help out. I talk to. Sometimes I'm with them at hospitals, depending on where they are in the state, or on phone calls. Like you can call me while you're in there with your doctor. And sometimes when you're going to the doctor, you forget.
Say that again. They can call you while they're in the doctor.
You can call me. You can so.
That's huge.
I don't like to say hire, but you can hire me to sit in with you. So while you're on the phone with the doctor, I can be on FaceTime with you. And when you're speaking about your health, a lot of times it's a whirlwind and you don't pick up everything the doctor says, or there may be questions that you're not thinking to ask. Having an advocate there, they might think of things to ask the doctor, or they might look at it differently. They're coming to you as someone who's been through this before, who understands understands what you're going through, but also knows how to communicate with the doctors who are talking to you about what you're going through. So it's good to have an advocate there with you. If you don't have a caretaker or you don't have someone who can go with you, having an advocate, calling an advocate to be there for you, whether in person or on the phone, can help you speak to the doctor but understand clearly, or have questions answered that you might not think about or might forget. We can talk prior to that visit. I can write things down and then send you the email about what we talked about.
Sure.
And that's helpful for a lot of patients. As I have patients that are older in their 80s, and I have patients who are 10 years old and their parents just want help with navigating the whole cancer journey, which is what I'm doing. So I am putting together a list of advocates that are in the country. And when patients will say, oh, I'm from Alabama and I would like to speak to somebody from Alabama, I can say, okay, I have these people. Does it matter what kind of cancer? Do you want it specific to that cancer, or do you just want to speak to someone? So that's what we're doing now. We're creating a list of advocates so that when a patient does come to us, we can point them in the right direction of different advocates. I am putting together currently a I have cancer, now what class.
Right.
So it's a class for people who are just diagnosed with cancer and they're like, okay, what do I do? So a lot of times, I know like breast cancer, sometimes the hospital will give you pamphlets and things. Sometimes they'll give you a hat for when you're losing hair, but there's no book that you're given. There's no right and wrong. There is no one way to navigate your journey. So I wanted to create a course for cancer patients to let them know that there are lawyers that will help them do pro bono work. There's a place to go to if you need someone to come to your house and clean it for you if you're going through cancer. There are meals for families. Sometimes families don't know what to do, and that's helpful for them to learn things they can do. A lot of people say, okay, I'm in the hospital. What am I supposed to do for my friend? Zoom is so wonderful. You can have talent shows on Zoom. You can have cooking shows. You could pretend you're a chef and just have the computer in the house with you, and they can eat with you and your family. You could bring them prep meals. You can bring wigs in and they can participate in talent shows, do your favorite music, invite friends over, and you all can sit around and do cards or a game night, or there's so many things to do out there. But a lot of times when you're focused on just beating it, those things aren't thought of.
Sure.
So you're in the hospital and you have all the time in the world.
That's right.
So I love being able to help families as well navigate the cancer journey and what to do and what not to do.
That's great. And I think to your point, sometimes you just want to have a sense of normalcy, right? As you're going through this, you're not just thinking about the cancer itself and being in the hospital in this sterile environment. I just want to play cards, or I just want to play a game, or just want to gossip and talk about the latest movie that went out or whatever. And that in itself is therapy also.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to be a part of your team and wanted to be one of these advocates and supporters, how would they reach you? Or if someone wanted to reach out to you directly and say, hey, I've got this journey. And again, I have to thank you personally as well, too, because I actually reached out to you because I have a friend who was diagnosed with cancer as well, too. And I wanted you to speak with that person and help them. And you actually referred them to a doctor and got them some additional insights about their type of cancer as well, too. So thank you as well for assisting.
You're welcome.
My friend as we journey, support him through his journey as well too. But again, if someone wanted to connect with you and learn more about cancer as an asshole and the advocacy work that you're doing, any speaking opportunities that they might want to have you come and speak about the topic, how would they reach you?
So you can go to cancerasanasshole.com. My website has all of my information. It has my email address. You can either send me a message through the website. You can send me just to my email, or you can book a session with me if you would like to. I have a LinkedIn. You can search my name up. On Instagram, I'm Cancer as an Asshole. on Twitter, on Cancer is an Ass. If you type Cancer is an Asshole in on any platform, you will.
They're going to find you. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds good. So, we're nearing the end of this episode, and thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your story and the resiliency and the optimism and just the intestinal fortitude that you have presented, that you can beat this. For those who are out there dealing with this today, cancer today, and thinking that this disease is fatal, even if you're told I've got a 30% chance or a 20% chance or a 7% chance, or in many cases where you're told don't listen to that. It is all about what you believe you can do to fight this disease, because it can be beaten. What words of wisdom or advice you'd like to leave our listeners that you can share with them that helped you in this journey?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just keep going. Put one foot in front of the other, and days are going to be hard, but it's okay to have hard days. Life is hard. It's not easy. And I want people to know that you don't have to be afraid to talk about mental health. A lot of times it's a very taboo thing, but it's okay to be anxious, and it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to cry. It's okay. And I just want people to know that there is so many people within the cancer community who are absolutely wonderful individuals who would be happy to help with whatever you need. My wonderful thing I love about social media is the amazing people that I have met. My Twitter following, if I don't post for 2 days in a row, they'll be in my messages asking me if I'm okay and wondering what's going on.
That's great.
They're so lovely. Yes. And I just want people to know that whatever you're going through, someone else is going through that or has been through that and is willing to help you out. Absolutely. You don't have to do this alone. You're not alone in your journey.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your journey and your story. And congratulations on being cancer-free. We're going to say that's permanent. We're never going to have to look back. We're going to be talking about this as a testimony and profiling courage as well, too. So for those of you who want to connect with her, please reach out. I think I'm going to drop the mic on this. There's nothing else I want to say, nothing else I think that needs to be said. I just wish you continued success and health and happiness. Continue to change the world. You are definitely a blessing to all of us. So that being said, let's close this out. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen in on this episode of Straight Outta Health IT. Again, I'm Christopher Cunning, your host. And it's a pleasure and an honor to have Amanda Ferraro as my guest. Cancer survivor, advocate, and all-around superstar. Pleasure to have you here. We got to have you back as well, too, to continue
absolutely.
to tell the story, the journey for us all as well, too. Until then, thanks, everyone, for supporting the program. If you like what you heard today, as always, please share with a friend, loved one, colleague, somebody you don't like. I think you can be a blessing to anyone in this journey in life. So that being said, take care. God bless, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Straight Outta Health IT. We hope you enjoyed today's guest. For more unfiltered dialogue of healthcare leaders and influencers, be sure to tune in next week. For the show notes, transcripts, and resources, please visit Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. We invite you to give us feedback by reaching out to Christopher Cunny on LinkedIn, just searching for Straight Outta Health IT, and you'll find us. We are constantly having live discussions about diverse topics in the industry.